This video is about changing the PTO on a Craftsman 2015 42-inch riding lawnmower. As you can see here, this is the lever. There's no resistance whatsoever. I can't engage the blades, so we're going to have to change that cable. But I do think I'm going to have to remove the battery and the battery box. So the battery is under the seat, and we're going to start by removing it and seeing what we have. You start by removing the negative first with a 7/16" wrench, either open end or box end, and then you remove the positive. Use the same 7/16" wrench. Push down on the battery holder, the wire that holds the battery in, remove it, and then you can easily extract the battery. Once you set the battery aside, you turn the hooks to the side, and they come out real easy. There's two of them on this model. And they come out very easy. And there you have it. There's your opening to your to where the PTO is, the PTO cable is. There's the screw. You can see there's the arm moving. You can see that that's the screw that holds the cable on, and I'll show you where it's at in just a second. There's the battery box, and that screw that holds the cable on is right through that opening right there. You should be able to get to it underneath there. Well, there's the screw that comes out of the power takeoff handle that's underneath the battery cable. As you can see, it's got a collar on it to let it turn, and this threads right into the handle itself behind the battery box. There's the opening for the cable right there is where the screw goes into, and then the cable, of course, just dropped around down below. There's where the cable connects to the body by virtue of just a little clip. You just have to slip it out, and then that will help remove the cable from this part. I'm looking down through the battery box. There's the PTO cable that is connected to the frame. I'm looking at it from behind. I took the bag off so I could video this. Didn't really need to take it off to get to it, but wanted to show you where it was at. And then there's the cable that runs around to the deck. Well, that is where the PTO cable was attached, and it was a booger to get out. There's just not any room to get needle nose pliers in there around it or whatever. There's a little clip that connects to that PTO up under the battery case, and that is a booger because there is no room to get together to squeeze them. I just had to force it out. There's where the PTO connects to the deck, and it's hooked with a cotter pin. Let me get in there and see if I can't get that out. There's the cable. Had a broken spring on that end, and it is 40 inches long, and it was a booger to get off. It's not a 15-minute job. I guess maybe if you do this every day for a living, it'd be different, but since I've never done this before, and I looked at a half a dozen YouTube videos to see where all the connections were, and I really appreciate that. Well, I ordered the cable online, came through Amazon Prime, and it is the correct model and everything to go with the Craftsman 42-inch mower that I have, and we're getting ready to install this. We're going to see how quickly we can get it on. It took longer to take it off than I anticipated. Okay, there you have the cable that's pulled through the bracket attached to the side of the riding lawnmower. Then you take this and attach it to the lever rod that controls your PTO. It'll attach in that hole there where I'm moving the lever, and we'll have it attached in just a minute. Okay, there you see I've got it attached. I used a 3/8 inch socket with an extension on it, which made it about 10 times easier to get on than it did to get it off. Okay, we've got the cable, the PTO cable attached to the up on top, and we're going to run it around underneath the transmission onto the deck. And there's a bracket on the deck that it has to go through that attaches via a cotter pin right in there, and then we'll attach it to the pulley on the deck. Okay, there it is attached to the bracket. What you do is you turn it sideways and slide it through the hole, and it kind of locks in place. There's another view of it going through that little bracket, and then I'll attach the cotter pin through that hole that's in the bottom there. Okay, there's that connection right there. And of course, I've gone ahead and attached the spring. It was really hard to get on there because that spring is so tight and it does not bend very easily. And you have to make sure you put that hook up under it. And in order to do that, I used a piece of wood about 3/4 of an inch thick and put it up under the spring so I can get some leverage on it. Plus, I also loosened that nut right there that holds the plate, and it's also there's a screw underneath, so you have to get under it as well. And I think it was a 9/16 is what it is. Anyway, you loosen that plate up so it gives you some way to lift up that a little bit to where you can get that hook up under there and into that hole. That was the hardest part, I think, of the whole thing, of putting it back together. Otherwise, it took me about 15 minutes to put the whole thing on in total, and then it probably took me another half hour or so to get that spring in with the help of my neighbor. You have to push in on that pulley to where, because you can't pull that spring. There you see where I have that block of wood that's up under the spring right there, and it allows you to get a little leverage to be able to push down so that hook will go up into that eyelet that hooks into it, and you make sure you get it up underneath and not through the top. Anyway, it was the hardest part for me to do in this whole project. Okay, let's get things cranked up here and see if it works okay. Whoop.